Lagos, the bus rapid transport driver Andrew Nye, suspected of killing 22-year-old fashion designer Oluwabamise Ayonwola, has been arraigned before Justice Sherifat Sunaike of the Lagos State High Court sitting at the Tafawa Balewa Square. The suspect pleaded not guilty to the offences of rape and murder of Ms. Ayonwola and another rape incident of a young lady which occurred last December. Kemi Foladiemo reports.
Andrew Nye and others said to be at large were accused of conspiring to rape and murder Bamise Ayonwola at about 1900 hours on February 26, 2022 between Lekki-Ajah Expressway and Carter Bridge in Lagos. He's also accused of raping another young lady who's 29 years old last November around the Lekki Conservation Center, which is also on the Lekki-Ajah Expressway. Dr. Jide Martins, who is the Director of Public Prosecutions, represented Lagos State, while Isaac Ezekwem represented the defendant. Another counsel, Ayo Ademiluyi, announced appearance for the Ayonwola family.
The Director of Public Prosecutions, Dr. Jide Martins, told Justice Shonoike that there is a strong likelihood that the state government will amend the charges against the defendant, Andrew Nye, and that the post-mortem examination of Ms. Ayonwola is still pending, the result of which will be brought to the court when it has been conducted. Though the defendant pleaded not guilty to the 4 counts charge, his lawyer says they will be considering an option of plea bargain.
Inviting international observers, international forensic observers, international forensic pathologists to so conduct that pathology. It is the opinion, the report of that pathology that would be of use to us. And of course, the prosecution, although we are watching brief, we can only be seen and not be heard. The prosecution also said they will be available to employ video links, which are so about that. Wonderful enough, the late Bamise Ayonwola was so gallant enough, was so resolute enough to produce serious video evidence that will be useful in this something.
The case was adjourned to May the 9th, 10th and the 11th, 2022 for trial to begin fully, and the defendant was ordered to be further remanded at the Nigerian Correctional Center in Ikoyi. Earlier in March, Yaba Chief Magistrate's Court remanded the defendant for 30 days, pending the DPP's legal advice, which has now been issued, prompting the case to be heard at the High Court, which is statutorily empowered to hear capital offences such as rape and murder. Kemi Foladiemo, TVC News, Lagos.
Members of the House Committee on Power has charged the Ministry of Power to make electricity available to Nigerians. That call was made at an interactive meeting on the collapse of the nation's grid. The legislators queried the ministry for presenting to them theories rather than practical solutions to the lingering power outage. National Assembly correspondent Okeadisa reports.
This cannot be the best of times for Nigerians, who, after enduring all forms of challenges, now have to contend with possibly the worst period of power outage. The collapse of the national grid has led to a variety of problems affecting the welfare of the citizens. It has led to collapse of small businesses whose operations depend on stable electricity supply. This has attracted a public outcry, especially in the midst of scarcity of petrol and high cost of commodities.
I received a correspondence from you.
The legislators have called this meeting to find out from those that should know reasons for the embarrassing situation.
There is no light, no fuel, no gas, typically no energy.
The permanent secretary in the ministry stands in for the minister, who is unavoidably absent. He insists that the crux of the matter is that a disruption in the operation of gas plants is responsible for the collapse in the national grid.
Current problems are due to disruptions in some gas plants. Despite proactive actions that were earlier planned to ramp up generation by thermal gas plants at this period in anticipation of low water level at the hydropower stations.
And the lawmakers are livid.
My heart bleeds for this country. We may never have it right, probably during our time.
To assume that there is some level of conspiracy targeted at maybe bringing down government efforts at trying to make power work, despite all the monies we have appropriated to this.
Honestly, my heart bleeds too, because even the solar, the PAPSEC is turning until the end of next year. Yes, so that means we will continue to be in total darkness until end of 2023. Haba.
And a very sad situation. These problems are not just starting now. For instance, we know every year there will be shortage of water, and then there will be problem at this time.
The lawmakers directed the ministry to provide further information on steps being taken to restore electricity to Nigerians and promised to report the development to President Muhammadu Buhari for his action. Joke Adisa, TVC News, Abuja.
Away from that story, a young man from Ogwashiuku in Aniocha South Council of Delta State is challenging the status quo by contesting for House of Assembly seat, a position which has never been held by a young person. Mr. Onwodis joins the list of growing young people vying for political positions from presidency to governorship and the House of Assembly in the state. Ikinamechi has more.
After a long period of being used for thuggery and other vices during elections, Nigerian youths are now changing the narrative by offering themselves for elective positions. The 2022 NSAS protests across the country may have contributed to this renaissance among young people to participate actively in politics. In Delta State, the youth seems to be leveraging on a friendly youth atmosphere as there is already a young presidential aspirant and several young people have shown interest in the governorship seat. The list is growing by the day as this young man from Ogwashiuku becomes the latest young aspirant trying to alter the norms. He seeks to represent his constituency in the State House of Assembly.
Yes, youth are ready to take leadership position. You can see it. I'm a youth. I'm trying to make sure that I come on board to lead my people. And I expect every youth from every constituency or every part of Nigeria to also show interest. Yes, youth can do it. We are ready. And as you can see, a lot of youth have declared interest to run for governorship, presidential positions, senatorial positions. So we are equal to the task. We are up for the task. The youth are ready for it.
The clamor for young people for political recognition over the years has been gaining traction, with major political parties in the country granting waivers for youth. But can the young people speak loud enough to be heard?
We have so many of them that have come to show their interest, to inform us about their intent to contest, and majority of them are youths. It's encouraging. It's a welcome development.
Yes, we have young people that can lead this nation. We have men that have capacity, youth that can lead this nation. The president of France, how old is he? Is he not a youth? The president of Ukraine, how old is he? Canadian president, they are all youths. So we believe youth can do it. All we need is for the support of our leaders. They should support any youth that have interest to run so that things will change for the people.
Are we witnessing a renaissance in youth participation in politics, or are these interests from young people just a storm in a teacup? Time will certainly give the unbiased answer. Ikenna Amechi, TVC News, Ogwashiuku, Delta.